바라만 볼 것인가? Save the world. Hit.
On Arena for our second best of 3 of the day. Of course, our first best of 3 ended 2-1 in the favor of Anarchy. They qualified for the round of 8. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the tournament format, we have 4 teams who have qualified from the offline qualifier portion. The remaining 8 teams in the round of 12 are going to be the 3rd through 10th place LCK teams. Now, these guys will play single best of 1 eliminations, as we've seen already, to decide who will advance to the round of 8 alongside SK Telecom, KT Rolster, and now Anarchy. From there, they'll move on to the round of 4 on the shores of Busan before moving on to the finals. And the final, or the winner of the entire tournament, will not only receive a large prize pool, as I stumble over my words, but also qualify for IEM Cologne.
Doing okay there, buddy?
It's gonna be a long day.
It was an explosive first series. Obviously, congratulations to Rebels Anarchy beating Najin out, but this time around we have Young Boss versus CTU Pathos.
Of course, 2 teams that we don't know a whole ton about. Now, luckily for me, as a former LMS caster, I have a little bit of an advantage in this series because Kramer, the current ADC for Young Boss, is the substitute AD carry for the Flash Wolves. Now, Kramer was certainly picked up due to incredible mechanical skill, but never really had that same communication, same synergy with a mostly or predominantly Chinese team, or Chinese-speaking team, rather.
Now, naturally, there are a lot of question marks on kind of what kind of performance are going to come out of both of these teams, but I think it's interesting about the development of talent in Korea. The fact that we are seeing 2 kind of challenger-esque teams coming into such a high-profile event like the KeSPA Cup, formerly of StarCraft, now moving over into League of Legends. I kind of see what kind of performance they put up, what kind of looks they give.
Now, I've lost my train of thought because I'm pretty sure that the uniform, I don't know if it's his jacket or if they have uniforms, but it is 2 outlines of women sitting back to back. And if that is actually their uniform, I will be very surprised.
Their name is Young Boss.
Like 2 trucker mud flaps back to back on that guy's. Okay, side tangent. Focusing back in on the games, the thing that I love about younger teams with newer, fresher faces and talent is that they generally have a lot more aggressive mentalities. They're a lot more eager to have flashy plays, and as a result, the games are much more exciting.
I keep looking for mud flap ladies, and
you see it?
No, I don't.
I'll point at the monitor. Someone somewhere has seen it and agrees with me, or I'm crazy.
I think you're just crazy. Like, I know their name's Young Boss, and it's okay. Speaking of jerseys, I think I almost wore that sweater out in the wardrobe, but they came in and they changed into their team jerseys, which happened to be that sweater. I think I watched that one.
Yeah, it was a little bit hectic there in the wardrobe. I almost took a Najin jersey. You know, it was.
We're sitting down there getting our makeup done, and okay, it is. It is the mud flap
it's
with
Pathos, though. That's not Young Boss. That's Pathos. Oh, all right.
That is so
uniform.
Excellent.
Hysteria aside, that is a great uniform. That rivals early Coup Tigers, or rather, yes, when they were the Coup Tigers, now known as the Tigers. Rivals their early uniform sensibilities, of course. Gray sweaters, just as sensible, a little simpler though on the side of Young Boss. They don't need to show off.
They're the boss.
They're the Young Boss, yeah.
That was a bad joke.
That was so bad. So once again, for this set, the thing that we have to preface everyone with is that these are young teams. They don't have a ton of screen time, not a whole lot of known names. 1 or 2 streamers, 1 or 2 high ELO players.
Mimic, I think, is the primary streamer.
But
they move.
It's going to be very interesting to see how they play as a team of 5. You can see Kramer on your screen there. Taking a little bit of break time with the Flash Wolves. I believe it's been clarified that he is not off the Flash Wolves lineup, but that he has just been given the freedom to come and play in this tournament.
And a lot up for grabs. Again, 88,000 USD for the first place winner, punching your ticket to IEM Cologne to represent Korea. So this is technically a qualifier tournament. So, you know, little off season, little qualification run. Not bad for Kramer's resume there.
Yeah, definitely looking pretty solid alongside playing with the Flash Wolves. Now, Pathos is a team looking pretty confident. Stone face as they come into this game. No one looking too shaky, although a lot of smiles on the Young Boss lineup, looking pretty happy to be here in general. It's really going to be interesting to see stylistically what these 2 teams develop into over the course of this best of 3, and additionally, what the priorities are going to be in pick and ban. These guys have a little bit more information about each other than we do about them up front, but there's still just not a ton of evidence either way. This is not a Najin, this is not an Anarchy, this is not a team that has played in a regular season as much, and as a result, there's just not the evidence to prep the same way that you could for a best of 3 against one of these LCK teams.
And they're not the only Korean challenger teams joining us in this tournament. We also have winners and Ever down the line. Of course, Ever a bit more up and coming. They lost their spot in LCK to Spinu.
And to be fair, I think that was they did get a single win.
They got a single win because Spinu didn't ban Gangplank.
Gotta respect the Gangplank. So
Watch that.
It's an interesting game for sure. I'm really hoping this is the dream. Whenever we see teams like that, you can see our casting booth just hidden in the corner.
Yeah, we're actually that little bird cage up there.
Yeah, they put a screen in front of us so Frostburn wouldn't try to poach any of the players.
Which is why I'm so happy to be seeing up and coming Korean talent. Gotta get my my reports in to LPL. It's looking bad, boys. We're not winning much.
I've lost it. Remember, we're just waiting to get picks and bans here, and of course we've discussed tournament format, we've discussed implications, and while there's a lot of flexibility for a lot of these established LCK teams, these guys who have qualified or just qualified into this round of 12 are going to have their very set, very established roster of 5 that they'll probably
Kramer
use
is playing
for all
jungle.
their games.
It's non-stop in the top lane, Kramer in the jungle, 19 in mid.
I'm pretty sure that that's backwards, and it's Kramer ADC non-stop support.
Oh man, I never.
I
got
know
to
you're
look at-
excited.
It's because I'm in the bird cage and I got like the screen in front of me that I can't see the other side. But here we go into draft phase. It's gonna be Young Boss on the blue side, Pathos on the red side.
Bring it to you from the bird cage.
From the bird cage.
Instant TF ban being brought out here. We've seen exactly how effective the high mobility and the map pressure that TF can put out. Definitely an interesting ban to start off. I'm not sure if that's a target ban or just something generally powerful in the meta. So you can use both. Master Yi taken away. And now I do know one of these players is actually known for his Master Yi mid.
I would hope so. You can always tell when we've entered kind of the chaos of up-and-coming talent. When a Master Yi ban goes down, you know it's about to get real.
The question is, how deep do the champion pools go? Do we have these one-trick ponies? Lysandra coming out as well, so a lot of, I would say, mid-lane focus coming in from both teams, because I do believe that is the mid-lane Master Yi ban. And Lysandra, Twisted Fate, Ryze, Vigar, I believe all the mid-laners you listed that we expected to see as popular. Lulu also being taken off the table, of course.
Permaban all day.
Always going to be relevant. Lulu, so much utility, so much early damage, a solid lane bully, and all the focus is on mid lane in this setting, or in this pick ban so far.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that we haven't seen Vigar come out quite yet. Again, it's pretty much been bouncing between Ryze, Lysandra, and Twisted Fate. Kindred now going to hit the bench, so I can confidently say that Anarchy getting their hands on Kindred was probably the one-off of the day.
I don't think we're going to see any other team. No team will have a good strategy to deal with it. You have displacements that can interrupt your ult, but when you're in a position where you have to ult people away from lanes for spite as a Gragas or as a Lee Sin, you're just already losing your team fight. Karth is also taken off the table. Welcome to the joys of challenger teams, ladies and gentlemen. I remember the Karthus also being someone's pocket pick, so.
Again, I would hope so. Okay, so we've got a ton of mid lane bans. We'll see what's left. Ryze is still up and available. I predicted him to be the must pick or ban of the tournament. I think he's way too strong with everything he offers, but we'll see if Young Boss and Pathos agree with me, as Young Boss taking their time with their priority pick. Other big picks left up is the Fiora. Any pick of the jungle.
Of course,
Callista.
You're just going to list off the things that you want to see?
Tom Kench.
I think Ryze...
Gangplank.
We forgot he was a champion. He's literally never been allowed through in eons. We just forgot he existed. Of course, Gangplank has received some nerfs on the current patch. His parlay no longer refunds mana on kill, so a little bit more mana hungry in the laning phase may affect his build path, may slow down that snowball, but still overall a powerhouse of a champion.
I don't think it's really going to affect his build path. He still has one of the most expensive build paths in the game. Trinity into double Infinity Edge, I think is what Soaz popularized. Pirate Pawn, also bringing that one out. Anytime I get the chance to say Pirate Pawn, I'm going to go for it. But we'll see if it's going to be a Gangplank in the top lane or in the mid. Pathos taking their time, but they will answer with Thresh Kalista. So looking for that objective control. Thresh Kalista obviously has a very high mechanical ceiling in how these champions interact in tandem with each other.
And once again, Thresh just always going to be a relevant champion in any meta. His kit offers so much utility, engage potential, and
Vision.
I think every support main ever, as far as I know, has played Thresh at some point in their life, and it just seems to be a staple in every professional player's champion pool. Kalista, additionally, absolutely a powerhouse when she can get ahead in the early game, and what character to help give her a better early lead.
See what the response is. Typically when a Kalista goes down, you're looking for Ashe, Tristana, Maokai. Obviously, Ashe able to kind of stick a little bit better to Kalista with the slow, has the hard CC on the arrow. Tristana can follow Kalista's martial poise with her satchel on the damage. And it's none of those. It's actually Varus, but that could be mid lane.
Or it could go to Kramer.
Yeah.
Now, Flash Wolves are known for having a pocket pick Varus and playing very, very low around. I believe both Kramer and NL play this. This is, of course, a different lineup. It'll be interesting to see how they play, but we have an immense amount of poke building up from this team. Poke and pick potential. The Cocoon, the Gragas barrels, the Varus' piercing arrows, but still not a whole lot given away, honestly. We have a Varus as a flex pick and a Gangplank as a flex pick on the side of Young Boss, but Olaf and Evelyn, the quick lock-ins here on the side of Pathos.
So they see a low mobility AD carry like Varus. Again, we'll see if that ends up in Kramer's hands or if it goes into the mid lane for some poke action. And they immediately grab Olaf, who just has so much kill pressure on the back lane with his ultimate.
And of course, a decent answer to Varus. He is going to have a reliable way to lock down the enemy team, or at least a single target, depending on how the grouping works up.
I think lockdown. I think like run down, mow down, chase down.
Talking about Varus, Olaf, yes, is going to run down and chase down people, and there's nothing Varus can do to stop that. But without the corrupted arrow as a safety net, he may be very vulnerable. A highly immobile AD carry, really no kiting tools outside of the hail of arrows and his ultimate.
Look at that poke comp. Okay, so they pick up the Corki and the Alistar's last rotation on the side of Young Boss, so surely that will be the Varus mid lane. Now Varus is going to itemize very similar to Jace in terms of his power spike coming in the mid lane. And it's pretty much just about spamming that Q every 4 seconds. Now they do also add an element of pick because they do have the Elise. Good follow-up CC and disengage from Alistar, but this is typically a relatively difficult composition to execute, and final pick is Vladimir.
Vladimir, a very interesting pickup in this exchange. Kalista, of course. Kalista and Thresh, really the only form of hard engage for this team as a whole, but an immense amount of rundown. It looks like a Vladimir mid lane, although I'm not entirely sure.
It makes sense to put Vlad into the mid lane. I mean, Olaf still will technically have kill pressure on Varus, so I'm not going to discount Olaf mid. Thanks, Faker. But Vladimir into a poke comp, because as they try to whittle him, once he's post level 9 and he has 5 points into his Q, he's just able to lifesteal that, spell vamp, that backup fairly effectively and quickly.
And of course, it'll be interesting to see. We haven't seen a Vladimir in a long time. It'll be interesting to see how the team plays around him. Of course, really needs to hit those multi-target Nemo plagues, but scales very comfortably into the late game. On the opposite side, we have kind of an insane mid-game on this poke comp. Varus, once he starts to stack that tier. Corki, once he gets that level 6. Overall, just a very strong composition in terms of poke, but very one-dimensional in what it wants to do.
Have the mid-game power. Now it is really reliant for Eve and Vladimir to find the flanks, so we'll see if they can set up their posture and get the team fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to make our way into Game 1 between Pathos and Young Boss. Don't go anywhere. All right, and we're back in the first game of our second set of the day between Young Boss on the blue side and Pathos on the red. It's going to be an interesting set of matchups. It's purely poke against a very, I would say, interesting composition coming in here from Pathos. I'm not sure what to think of this one.
It's a team fight composition. You have a lot of synergy between Evelyn and Vladimir if they're able to stack their AoE ultimates. I'm going to call it the Venn diagram of murder. But Vladimir and Evelyn are very reliant on flanking as opposed to what I like to call a front-to-back engagement or running across the scrimmage line of the enemy team.
It feels like this is the Venn diagram versus like the line graph. You got the arrows, you got the rockets. It's like, which one is really more effective for mapping your data?
No, that's a good way to put it.
You tried so hard not to leave me out to try, and I appreciate that. That was awful.
I had to come back and get you, but you left me out to dry on the almond.
It's true.
That's okay.
It was a nutty reference.
The standard 5-point coming out from both teams. It looks like we also will have a jungle start. Mimic, the streamer, gonna go ahead and start on the wolf camp, while Hippo, I love their names, starting off with the leash Gromp for Beggar.
19 looking to play pretty aggressive in this lane already. Kramer, pretty comfortable with this early Gromp start. He's been around, he's played with professional team, he's scrimmed with Flash Wolves plenty. I don't expect him to look too uncomfortable. How he'll stack up against Gap and Mocha, though, is going to be very interesting as well. Mimic, sporting the new Marauder Olaf skin. That's one of my personal favorite skin lines. Not very comedic, but I think it looks very good aesthetically.
Yeah, it's pretty. See where he's going to go from here. Makes the quick back and is going to go ahead and teleport. Will reach the lane first. Also has his level 2 available. Hippo will be shortly joining him.
Relatively calm here. Kramer and Nonstop should have a small EXP advantage.
And I want to quickly underline the differences between the itemization of the top laners simply because they've had their first recall with teleport. You have Flask, Pink Ward, Mana Pod priority from Hippo. So looking to set down a lot of those barrels, take the lane phase very easy with poke damage versus Mimic taking the nice hidden barrel in there in the brush. Taking the Doran's Blade and just really looking to brute force lifesteal the lane.
And when we think about popular streamers, when we think about solo queue all-stars, it's got to be all about aggressive early laning phases, and Mimic is obviously no stranger to that. We'll have to see if he can find any greater advantage. Currently happy with the CS lead he has, 13-6, although that may change as this wave crashes into the tower. We'll see how comfortable Hippo is farming under it and how aggressive Mimic wants to get, the barrel offering him a little bit of zone protection here.
Other itemizations of note is, of course, Vladimir taking the boots Potts start, giving him a good head start on trying to dodge out the majority of Varus' damage with that Q poke. That said, low levels, Varus is mostly just going to look to auto-attack, harass you. Now, power of Varus mid lane is obviously once he gets more points in those Q and he lowers that cooldown, he can effectively clear the entire length of mid lane as well as poke you if he connects with a piercing arrow.
And additionally, the Blight stacks will do an effective job of punishing Vladimir for that scaling health, really not let Vladimir take full advantage of that passive, as it will just increase Varus' auto attack damage if he is able to proc it with an ability. So an interesting matchup for sure, and you got to give a lot of credit to Mangchi. It's an interesting adaptation. I'm just not sure how it's going to work out for him.
This is actually really smart of Beggar as well. So obviously there's not an open gank on Mangchi here. That was a tough one. I had to really look at it. He was waiting for the counter gank from Doko, looking for the Evelyn to extend on the Varus that far forward in the lane. So good awareness and communication so far being demonstrated by Young Boss to have his jungle shadow underneath him.
And additionally, a pink ward placed in the rear top brush here for Hippo. Definitely does not want to get flanked. Knows that he's relatively safe with the oranges and the speed boost that he can get from those barrels, but just taking it the extra mile and just knowing that he wants to farm up, knowing that he wants to stay out of Evelyn's hair. Evelyn, though, may have a different plan for him. He has to be careful in this exchange. Starting to run away from Mimic. Could be in trouble here. Reckless swing coming out. Doko gonna be spotted, but the pink ward not gonna help whatsoever. Far too aggressive, and first blood going over to the Evelyn. Pathos making a strong remark.
And I understand your theory behind placing the pink ward in that first brush, because obviously you're hoping to freeze the wave in front of your tower or near your tower so that it will give you a lot of protection if Eve enters from the river, but he's just way too far forward. Wasn't able to push the wave, reset it correctly, and get it centered, and really pays the price there. Burns burns his flash and doesn't have his teleport available.
Definitely an unfortunate trade there. Olaf now up to 34 CS in addition to that assist.
He's got his
picking up a Kindle Gem. And Olaf can be so oppressive when he gets ahead. The undertow, when he has full mana, just able to chase you down in lane, gangplank really with no hard CC options. Not that they'd be too relevant, as Mimic does approach level 6 here. And overall, things seem to be going quite well for Pathos, farming themselves up to a pretty decent lead. 47-37 in the bot lane. Kramer is a player with a decent amount of professional experience, and he's falling very quickly behind Gap here.
Thresh versus Alistar. Again, the fact that you have the advantage of having a range support. Obviously, I can't comment too heavily on it just because we haven't had the bot lane as it appears on our screen right in front of me, but just look at the zoning potential coming out of Gap and Mocha and their reach and threat, especially when there's no creep line in front of Nonstop and Kramer. The death sentence is just that deadly. So really just respecting the 2v2 mismatch. And again, the pink ward.
Rinsing and repeating that strategy, hoping to get Veigar into the top lane safely, trying to get something back, help himself scale up. It looks like they're just going to try to push this lane up.
They're just trying to reset it, yeah, just because Mimic's done a great job trying to freeze it. That shouldn't amount to much.
Nonstop getting aggressed on here. Not too many spears inside of the Ren. Not going to dish out too much damage, but...
Split their damage. The fact that Gap is attacking Kramer, meanwhile, Mocha is locking up Nonstop.
But they still look really good with this energy. Gotta give them a little bit of credit there.
It's all about that style.
I just appreciate the skin choices coming in here from Pathos.
Veigar needs to step forward and he needs to get some wards on Doko's camps is what needs to happen. So obviously Evelyn will come out of stealth when she takes her camps, which means that if you ward the camps, you can figure out which side of the map she's on and play accordingly. It would definitely save Hippo a lot of gold from warding behind him as he pushes forward again.
And once again, that's an adaptation that we've seen around even since MSI, when Evelyn was a bit of an oddball kind of pocket pick.
I will remember you.
The one time China won. Hold on to it. Hold it in your heart. But, and that's surprising not to see him adapt that way, but at the same time, if you're a more solo queue style player, that sort of strategy doesn't always occur to you, as Hippo is going to go down once again. Evelyn dishing out so much damage, and Gangplank just really did not stand a chance in that instance. The Runeglaive power spike is just too massive.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to point out. It is 8 minutes in the game, and Doko is running around with a Runeglaive. That was huge burst damage out of this Evelyn. And again, Hippo, he's expending 200 gold now in these pink wards to ward behind him where it offers 0 protection. Just put it in the river.
TP being burned out from Hippo as well, trying to recoup some of this farm. Already burned his ultimate. Really just suffering this game. We'll have flash up shortly, may be able to keep him safe, but Mimic is just continuing to scale up, building a massive CS advantage, which we will be able to... There you go. 41 to 66 there in the top lane.
He just needs to keep the wave right here. You got it.
Solid wave control. He's starting to adapt to that matchup. I just fear that it may be too late for them. Kramer on the bottom side of the map with the Sheen should be able to start trading a little bit more effectively with Gap, where neither side seems too eager to engage the other. 19 doing a good job against this Vladimir, but not able to match the wave clear nearly as comfortably. Has
his tier, however, so starting to stack that up as well as the longsword. In a good position, Vladimir meanwhile on the other side with the Hextech Revolver as well as, and more importantly, level 8. So that much closer to the level 9 to have all 5 points in the queue.
Kramer actually getting kind of devastated in that trade. Mocha and Gap showing us some pretty impressive synergy. Callista going in for a small trade before immediately getting Lantern out, denying that Sheen proc.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to point out, is the denial of the Sheen proc, so Corki's not able to get that big burst damage and losing these elongated trades, but here we go.
Coming in with the Cutlass, the sustained damage is there for them. They're throwing in the Thresh. They may find the kill onto Kramer. Spears are stacking up, but he made it out of the range. They're going to go in onto Nonstop. I don't think they're going to find anything else. He does have Unbreakable Will. He should be fine here. But some beautiful performances from the bot lane on the side of Pathos. Everything seems to be going their way. Veigar doing his best Hojin impression on the top side of the map.
And I really like how this is the automatic call to mosey on into this dragon. So again, you have the Callistus, you have the power of the Rin, but more importantly, you just won that bot lane trade. Did you get the kill? No, but you got the objective.
Really not sure what Veigar expects to happen on the top side of the map. Even if he hits a stun, the most he can hope for is an ultimate. Gangplank just does not have the raw damage at this stage of the game to burst down this Olaf. And it just feels like Young Boss are scrambling to find some sort of advantage and are clearly looking lost.
Pathos just frankly winning in the lanes at this point as well. The only one that's a little bit questionable is the mid lane, but 19's really just sitting back and throwing out Qs. So give it time for this Vladimir to really ramp up and become that late game monster that he can.
course, already itemizing a decent amount of cooldown reduction. Will be that much more comfortable to match Varus's early wave clear. Otherwise, coming after Varus as well, trying to keep up while the tier may be holding him back a little bit in terms of damage. It will eventually turn into that Muramana and offer a massive spike, at least in auto attack exchanges.
And this is the type of ward that Young Boss needs to transition onto Evelynn. You see the Krugs are warded, so Eve now has information of where Beggar is moving around on the map.
Not going to spot that pink ward either, so just knows exactly where Beggar is headed. And unfortunately, that just makes it so much easier for them to play forward. You can see Mimic not even remotely concerned. He even feel comfortable enough to dive to Gangplank. Gangplank not going to have it. Hippo picking up a decent amount of CS there, though. Despite being down 69 to 105, he will get back some of that gold.
And what that translates, although it's a little bit different for Gangplank just because of how his gold values with the minions interact, is for every 13 to 15 CS, it equates 1 kill worth of gold into your back pocket. So Olaf right now has the 2 assists as well as about 2 kill advantage over Hippo.
Hippo clearly aware that he is behind and needing to catch up. He's invested in the bank plank strategy. Avarice Blade coming out for him as well. It's going to take a long time for him to get online, but it'll be slightly shorter. Just we'll have to wait on that Triforce a little bit.
Into the lane. See if Mocha can lead with a death sentence. In fact, really taking their time to posture and set this one up.
Meiji in trouble. Tried to dive YB. Not going to find the Cocoon, though. Going in, getting aggressive. A lot of sustain coming in here. The arrow's going to come out, and it will seal the deal. But in the bot lane, another one is going to drop. They find the kill. They find the hook. Unbreakable Will saving him in the end there. But Kramer getting burned out, a player with such a solid reputation in the LMS, getting dominated. Everyone dropping left and right on the side of Young Boss.
And it's the information. You know where both junglers are, so it gives Mimic the go-ahead to force that kind of dive into the top lane, as well as get the flash out of Gangplank.
And unfortunately for Young Boss, it looks like Pathos are just outclassing them on an individual level. Pushing forward, desperately trying to secure this turret. They're just going to be comfortable to back off here nonstop. Can't really do a whole lot to stop as we cut into this replay.
I thought for sure we are going to see the replay top, but here we go. Nice play. Mocha put in position by the Fate's Call, able to find that follow-up CC to help the damage onto Evelynn, but really just really good posturing from Eve there, taking the time, going all the way around the tribe rush to put herself in perfect gank path.
And really, when we look at that play, Kramer had no hope outside of the peel from Nonstop, and Nonstop was just very late on the use of his abilities. We saw Unbreakable Will come out just before he was about to die, but long after Kramer had already passed. Could have used the Unbreakable Will, could have used the Headbutt Pulverize to protect his AD carry, but just seemed lost. Did not expect the Evelynn in his lane, did not expect that flank to come out. Of course, Mimic still on the top side of the map, 75 to 125, trying to double his opponent's CS. I thought Duke was going to hit the Flame Horizon. Saying it one more time, give this one to me. It looks like Mimic may in this exchange, and Beggar, unfortunately, can't even duel the Olaf at this stage of the game. It's just going to have to run away.
And this is the question: how will Mimic's lead and commanding dominance over the top side of the map transition into the rest of the map? Is he just going to continue to push Hippo in and draw resources from Young Boss top to allow his team to make plays beneath him? Or is he going to get involved in the mid lane with teleports into the bottom lane and try to snowball and fast push down the other tier 1 towers?
Mimic appears hungry for blood. He's posturing behind Varus in the mid lane. He's going to go in anyway. They're going to find this kill for sure.
Oh my god.
So much damage. Ragnarok not even utilized there as Mangchi drops tower aggro via the pool. And
Becky, look at that damage. That was absurd. That was like Faker in the mid lane.
God. Beggar also getting crushed out. Every member of Pathos looking for their glory moment.
Starting to become a bloodbath. They are just dominating every single lane individually, and now it's bot lane's turn.
Fate's Call going to be used. They're going to toss the Thresh in. The hook coming out. Kramer will sidestep that one. Nonstop finally pushing someone else under tower, but Mocha going to flash out to safety. Kramer will drop. Nonstop will drop, and Pathos 1-8 now with a almost 6K gold lead as they take down that tower.
And this train is not stopping. It started in the top lane, made its first stop in the mid lane, and then rolled right on through the bottom lane. That is the 1-2 punch, just the first tier mid tower left standing.
4-0-2 the scoreline for Dolgo here. Apps or Dogo? Dogo. Very impressive player
It's like,
overall.
don't go.
And the issue here is that he's now building tanky, but the Rune Glaive, because it's so early in the game, still provides an absurd amount of damage in his game.
Well, he's level 10 Eve from the jungle. He hits Corki with a Sheen proc, and that guy's going to explode into shrapnel. He's just going to be like little tufts of mustache.
Poor Kramer came in, wanted to play the tournament, qualified well, is now suffering at the hands of Pathos.
Welcome back to Korea.
Rough game for him. Easily going to secure this Baron with the power of Kalista while Mimic wanders back into the top lane to pick up some CS. 104 to 130. Gangplank has done an excellent job. Hippo catching up slowly but surely, but at what cost as the rest of the team appears to have died for Gangplank to catch up.
And again, this is just, oh, so sad.
Hippo, I'm sorry, buddy.
Pick up the axe.
Rest in peace.
Run, Hippo. Run.
What?
Oh, dodged it.
Got it. One more. No, stopped. Started to spam dance. We didn't get to see the animation, but
Well, fun fact about hippos, they actually kill more people than, like,
anything else.
Yeah, pretty much anything else, because they're devastating. But the problem is you have to, like, run into their mouths because they have such strong jaw power. So I feel like, you know, Hippo's time could come. You just need to be patient and, like, swim into the 45-minute Trinity Force double eye edge completion Gangplank. It's there. It's looming. But
the lethal Hippo is waiting. The terror of... Oh, wow. 19 dodging out on that gank. May be able to get something back on the Dolgo. Has to back up here. The Gangplank call may get him to safety. And they will find a return kill. Shutting down that Evelyn. And a little bit too aggressive. A fast reaction flash from 19. Going to save his life and turn that one in his favor.
Cockiness. The MVP right now. Trying to dive those towers with low health and just not doing a good job juggling the aggro. We'll see if Pathos can show some restraint here, control their lead, funnel it appropriately, and continue to snowball this game, or if their maybe ego and over-eager plays will get the best of them as Young Boss transition this into a nice tower. JK.
Secure it though. Decent amount of wave clear.
They got good poke.
Throws in the axes. Now this is the big thing that separates LCK teams from challenger teams. It separates LCS teams from challenger teams in nearly every region is when you have a lead, can you snowball it? Can you win the game cleanly? Right now, Pathos appear to be winning on mechanical skill and jungle pathing, but if they can show some clever macro strategy, they may be able to advance comfortably to the round of 8 because right now this is a dominating performance.
Surely this tower will go down. They need to watch out for Mocha.
Fresh hook on the side. Almost lost myself in that instance, but such a quick kill going over to Doko. Evelyn now 5-1-2.
There is a real issue, however, when you snowball a game this quickly. 2-10 right now, 27-33. It's still very difficult to push and siege down tier 2 towers just because you don't have the damage available to you yet. So we'll see how they maneuver around this problem. It looks like they are setting up for a push on the top side. So Mimic grabbing the wave. You got the deep vision down. We'll see if they go for a dive or if they're just going to continue to attempt to whittle.
It appears that Young Boss are ready to respond in this instance. They're sending over some coverage, sending over some wave clear onto this tower, but they have to be careful about which route they take. If they run face first into Doko, it could spell the end for them. Ults being burned left and right. The tower will be safe for Young Boss, at least for now.
Okay, so will they continue to be patient and try to beat Young Boss around the map and continue to whittle on these towers, abusing the dragon timers, knowing that Pathos can't fight them? Or are they just going to immediately go for the 20-minute Baron spawn, which is far riskier of a play, but with the Gangplank ultimate down and zero vision, looks like it's free.
And Kalista, of course, a reliable way to 100% secure this. They are going to get it. Not stop going in for what I guess is a steal attempt as Kramer is on the backside. Mimic is most likely going to go down here. He will drop. And every member of Pathos is in trouble. Vladimir all coming out though. Mangji doing so much damage. Hippo finally able to do something, but Kramer could be in trouble as well. may try to get aggressive. They have to be careful. Doko
Just run at him.
at any moment could speed up and go in. Varsero coming over the wall, gonna find the kill, the quick
Headshot.
snipe. 19 taking that one down, but Doko could find the 2v1 here. 19 trying to find something, moving in 2 blight stacks, 3 blight stacks. The arrow has to be available. Charging it up, will see the flash to get out of there. 19 still on the hunt. Another few seconds until the arrow is available. It's unlikely he's going to get this, turning his attention toward the creep wave as the tower goes down in the mid lane, and the gold starts to swing back in the favor of Young Boss.
1 Baron buff left on Evelyn right there. That was 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Mimic going in onto 19 here. There's almost nothing that this Varus can do. 1 axe hits, 2 axe hits, the reckless swing, and a death sentence for Varus. As 19 drops to Mimic, this is one unstoppable Olaf finishing up the Sterix gauge, but Kramer will find something back on the bottom side of the map.
Okay, so minimizing the gold lead a bit, still 33 to 39. Pathos are still well in control, but I think this just goes back to the idea that when you're ahead, how do you retain the snowball? How do you close out the game? They went for the really high risk, I want to say high risk, kind of medium reward play. By taking the Baron. I would have rather seen a team, set up deep vision, use the fact that they are ahead through their items, through their gold lead, to contest smaller objectives, contest the red, the blue, make them fight the dragon, slowly whittle down on the towers, because I feel like, they got the Baron, they got the global gold, but 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
That's fair. I mean, in their defense, have you ever been 7-1 on Eve? You
just feel the power.
You feel the need to go in relentlessly, and I think that's exactly what's happening here. Pathos want to fight. They want to cement this game. They're eager to find a win here, maybe over-eager, as you're saying, as they've adapted less than ideal strategies, not willing to slowly choke their opponents out. Next dragon going down. If they find this 3rd one, it'll give them a decent movement speed. They could pick even easier. Posturing around the outside. The arrow can outdamage Smite, but it could not outdamage Callisto.
I was going to say, Callisto's already got her.
Yeah, trouble. Death's Daughter doing so much damage. Doko going to secure that one, but there is no follow-up. Vladimir in the back line, picking up a double kill, a beautiful flank, and Mimic. No one left to stop him from taking down Hippo. Despite putting himself right in the Hippo's mouth, nothing is going to happen. He is too far behind, and true damage, ignoring Alistar's ultimate. Unbreakable Will, quite easily broken by Mimic's Olaf.
Mimic and Manchi just destroyed that fight. These 2 champions are so far ahead. Vladimir just dropping aggro on the tower. He doesn't care. Meanwhile, in the mid lane. And it was such a beautiful Gangplank ult, too. I feel like Gangplank is almost the new Rumble when it comes to dragon control, just because the surface area that his ultimate covers and how much damage it does, it's perfect for fighting. I mean, just look at this. Gangplank Ultimate's actually going to come down on Gap, and it's going to force him out of Rend, because it just is doing so much damage on the backline. But despite the fact that this is such a great fight for Young Boss, because this is effectively a 2v3, 2v4. These 2 champions are just too far ahead.
It's an unfortunate circumstance for Young Boss in that exchange. They needed to find this much earlier, and now that they are so far behind, anything short of an absolutely perfect fight in their favor.
Well, this is also, where they have their power breaks, where they get strong, having the Trinity Force on the Corki as well as the Gangplank, having the Last Whisper, the Muramana, complete on Varus.
Finding the hook onto 19, going in, bringing in Callisto on the backside. She's not going to take the Lantern, but he will take Livia's Light. The Gap secures that one. Doko picking up one for himself. The kills being spread around the team liberally because he's pretty much getting them all for free at this stage of the game. Young Boss getting dominated here, at least thinking she may find a way to safety, but it's just a different path to death. Pathos absolutely dominating this game. Young Boss showing sparks of intelligence, sparks of individual skill, but just not enough to battle the burning fire that is Pathos.
They're just way too far ahead. I mean, that said, Najin misplayed closely when they had a massive lead, so we'll see if Pathos react in a similar fashion, but right now just far too oppressive and far too many damage threats. The fact that even if you finally do take down Mimic, which will be impressive all on its own, you still have to go through Vladimir. Eve is still massive, and then there's Callista, the actual AD carry, so you have pretty much a quadruple damage threat team coming out of Pathos.
And additionally, look at the damage sources coming in from this team. Elise, really the only reliable source of magic damage. Corki has a small amount. Varus has his blight stacks, but outside of that...
Corki does more magic damage than physical.
Rip. Can he burn through a Sterix Gauge, a Black Cleaver, and a Dreadman?
No, he'll run for his life.
Exactly, and that's the issue as we move forward, is that Olaf is so comfortable to itemize armor and health, getting magic resist as well at this stage of the game, and that Dreadman's play, or that Deadman's play, is just going to make it impossible to get away from him, as if it wasn't hard enough already. The mobile carries such as Varus, just not even concerned. 19 burning heal to try to get out of there, but it's just not going to be enough. He's getting burned down. Mimic grabbing one more for himself. 6-1 and 9, and unfortunately, this has been the story of the game. Mimic and the rest of Pathos just running through the opposition as they will secure their first inhibitor, and potentially the game as they move in for the fight here. Alistair burning the Unbreakable Will. They may throw the rest back in with the Fate's Call. They're going to throw him out, use the Lantern to secure gap, not wanting to get too aggressive. They've learned from their earlier mistakes at the Baron pit.
Take the mid inhibitor. Baron will be spawning in 35 seconds. It's just a question of, are they going to back and reset their waves and buy, or just walking immediately to the Baron and wait?
Looks like they're just going to set up vision. They're confident in their strength. They don't think they need any more itemization spikes. Doko going back may indicate that they're going to be a little bit more patient. Mimic's just hungry for blood, though. Ward's being thrown out left and right. He is ready at any moment to make a pick.
They're all just pressuring the waves forward, spending their last amount of gold, and they'll meet on this Baron, probably set up around a corner, see if the enemy team's going to dare to face check. If so, get a pick. But otherwise, this is just the free purple worm.
It's been a long time where a team has been so far ahead that I've heard someone make the statement, free purple worm.
Absolutely free.
It's definitely free. And at this point, when you have a Callista, an Olaf, every single member of the team is fed. It's not even Baron Napster anymore. It's just a big purple worm. And it's dropping so quickly as Gap will surely secure this one with the Ren. Nope, giving it over to Doko. Prove those last hitting statistics for major objectives.
Yeah, we'll say it's giving it over.
Not missing it, no.
They don't do that. They don't do that on the world stage.
Moving forward, Baron buff and powered
joke.
super minion.
It's a kid joke.
Gap just not even remotely concerned. So much lifesteal in his current itemization that he is just able to walk up freely and auto attack the turret. Every member of Pathos just seems content to split up and push out side lanes. There's really no need for them to group, and they have a lot of flexibility to get in and get out. There just isn't the damage on the side of Young Boss to kill anyone. TP coming in for Mimic. Mimic is hungry for blood here, and I think he might find some, or at least the tower. Pushing in, has bought the elixir. Dago going in, they use the Fate's Call, they're going to find that. Varus trying to disengage with the chain or corruption, but it is not going to be enough. Mimic backing off, using the heal movement speed to help secure that inhibitor. It's Minji's team. Ninja's team. Ninja's turn to go deep.
It is chaos, it is destruction, it is absolute dominance coming out of Pathos here for game one. And the question is now, what do Young Boss change to try to make a comeback in this series?
Well, they are able to pick up some kills. It is just a brief respite. They will find themselves taken out so very quickly. And I'm not sure what the answer is when it's such a crushing win. What do you ban? What do you take away? What do you change to make your team play more proficiently? Because every single lane was beaten out in this game.
I mean, you're absolutely right. Big picks that are standing out to me are Mimic on that Olaf, but I mean, the likes of Fiora were still up and available. If he's that dominating on Olaf, I can only suspect that he's dominating on other carry-esque champions. So we'll see how shallow some of their champion pools are, or if it really was, you know, bands like Master Yi that set this up.
It'll be curious to see what happens if those champions make it through. I mean, Young Boss just... They were a team that was definitely hyped coming into this matchup, and I just did not appreciate how strong Pathos were on an individual level. Their duo bot, so much strength, so comfortable on that Callista Thresh, and additionally Doko. As a caster, I do a lot of color casting, and when I see Evelyn, I'm always skeptical. She's not a champion I enjoy. I much prefer hard CC, but when you have a performance like that, I just have to shut up and take a step back, because clearly Evelyn is doing work. And it was an excellent pick for them in that game.
You know, normally I actually really agree with you. The fact that typically with Eve you see tandem of taking hard CC into your solo lanes to offer her